Welcome back to Hive Mind Commentary with your boy Sparky. I'm here with Victor. Say hi, Victor.
Hi, Victor.
Today we have our final round of our FNM with Darian playing Boros Energy and Tom on Domain Zoo. Tom's out to a good start with a leyline and a Nikado. Where are you on the side of the matchup this time, Victor?
Well, I'd love to thank the Wizard design team for thinking that a resource that you can interact with, not having any downsides. So, with that being said, I'll root for the energy deck because why not have something that gets very little interaction?
I'm assuming you're talking about the energy mechanic in general.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, I should make that very clear. I hate energy, and I'm rooting for the energy
I,
deck just
I
because.
actually I actually thought you were talking about the leyline that was in play, but that's fine. Um,
No,
so
because they do have to have that in their hand. It
sure.
turns out though, when you give every card something related to energy, it's pretty easy to
I know
uh,
the
go
I know
ham.
the I know the jokes have been made that this is a MH3 block constructed deck, give or take, but I'm happy that there is a powerful aggressive deck in the format because it sets a bar that you now have to go and try and beat.
So I'll say this just because in these beginning turns we're going to see a lot of standard aggro stuff, and I'll make it quick. The one thing that I do like is that because there are so many cards in MH3 for this deck, it makes it worthwhile for players who are maybe new to invest in these packs and
Hmm.
have a decent chance at getting cards to make this deck. That's not a necessarily bad thing.
No,
Do I think it's unfortunate that it has the energy mechanic which supports it? Yes, just because I'm not a huge fan. Um, so with that being said, and I know I jest, but I do think energy is favored here. Blood, especially in the Boros version, having the Blood Moon, I think is just really good at slowing the deck down. But I mean, it looks like Tom is actually playing energy as well. So I guess everyone's just playing energy.
yeah, with the steal of the Ragavan and the Guide of Souls on Tom's side of the board, I'm not sure who the energy deck is. But I do see a Blood Moon in Darian's hand here. If Tom is smart, he might want to leave a fetch land open here to potentially fetch for a basic and still have all five types, which is relatively relevant. Um, I'm not, and I mean, like he's got the Ragavan advantage to an extent if he's got a removal spell. Like I could see him going like fetch for basic, bolt, dash Ragavan, get in.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it is one of the better fetch lands to have here in the fact that Tom can go get a plains to then have the
Ooh,
white source.
yeah, 100%.
I failed my job as a spotter on this one, and Darian was ready for it.
It's all good. So we have a Kavu in play.
Oh
I
no.
think. Ooh, oh no, oh no.
I mean, so hindsight, and we can obviously see the card.
Yeah,
Tom doesn't realize that that's not going to be a great play. However, I do wish that I think I've seen Tom in those situations before, and I'm sure he's played against a few Boros decks. So I would have liked to have seen the heads up to go get the planes first, but you know,
yeah. I think you just go get the planes there. Uh, there are so many ubiquitous lists, and I know like there's like collations. Frank Carson, as of today, just posted like his collated uh Boros energy list, and it was running, I believe, a bunch of at least two Blood Moons, if not more, on the sideboard. I think the decks that are trying to revolve around having five colors should be like understanding that that's a possibility. Um, that said, I am not sure if I like Darian's position of just jamming Blood Moon here, right? Because if he does that, he still only has the Ocelot Pride, and just having the Ocelot Pride, I don't think is enough yet. I know he's got a handful of cards, but I think I would have liked to see another play before this happens. But
I think if Tom leaves open fetch land, I think you don't play the Blood Moon, and I think you just try to advance your board.
sure,
But the fact that he could basically turn off, the Kava becomes a 1/1. The Guide of Souls is still a 1/2, which is a problem, but I think the
Well,
upside potential there was worth the risk.
I there's also a part of me that like if I'm just gonna trade this Kavu in, I might just swing with it here. I have the life total advantage at the moment, just to like draw and discard and possibly find one of the what is it, 4 bolts and 4 tribal flames that are in the deck. The only other cards he can cast at this point are Ragavan.
Yeah, it would be yeah, the Tribal Flames, the Bolts, the Ragavan,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean you're not casting a Scion of Draco anytime soon, and
that's got to feel good. Wombo combo.
this to me just highlights the strength of this deck that you can get so much value that you're just like, you know what? Let's also just jam the ring in here because I mean the ring does exactly what the deck needs. You're playing an aggro deck, traditionally speaking. How did you beat the aggro decks? You wore them out of resources.
Yep.
Boros Energy says that's cute. I'm going to subvert that by playing the best mid-range refill my hand card.
But a caveat to that is they're also playing like Ocelot Prides. Now this is interesting. So now our Kavu can take to the air. I'm dumping all of my mana into it. Or oh, sorry, not my mana, my energy.
Your energy. Well,
Yeah,
we all know what you meant, and the people at home know what you meant. So
yeah. I'm discarding a Shiba. I think he's got no Shiba and a Coddle in his hand.
yeah, the only problem is again, I mean the protection trigger is going to make it so that he takes none here,
I don't. I'm not worried about
and
taking none. I'm worried about having a 3/3 flyer that's going to attack every turn following. Now,
3/3
oh,
though.
he should have played that mountain. He should have played the mountain. Why didn't he play the mountain?
What's he got? He has I don't remember Tom's hand just because
Mon has a mountain in his hand and he's just not playing it to get all 5 colors back. Like his guy just gets blown out by this Flage. Uh,
maybe I'm missing something here. Why would him playing the mountain get him his colors back?
because he has Leyline of the Guild Pact in play and it would be all 5 colors.
No. The Blood Moon entered after. It wouldn't matter.
It's a mountain. It's a basic mountain. His basic mountain has all 5 types.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. You're good. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't even think about that.
That's why you fetch the basic.
I was just thinking about the planes in general. Yeah, good point. All
That's
right.
fair.
I'm gonna shut up now.
It's all good.
You know what though? Maybe someone else had that question too. So you know what? If anyone else
That's
will also learn
very
from that,
fair. It's very fair.
um,
Though I think the Flage hit the wrong card, but that's fine.
yes, I didn't agree with this when Darian did it in play. I looked at this and I said,
And he draws the
this is
planes. Okay, at least play one of them. Okay, he
though
got
this
through.
is honestly something that we all missed because I don't think we realized that this is now a 7/7 Cabo.
Ooh, yeah, getting the Flage is important.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
this is a huge miss.
that's a big no no.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
because Blood Moon doesn't
unfortunately,
turn planes into anything, and planes is affected by the Guild Pact.
yeah,
Um, so hopefully
yeah, we all missed this one.
it doesn't fix.
I mean, to be honest, I think it would have mattered. Well, because I think Darian goes down to where we'll figure it out in a second here. Math
Yeah,
is
well,
math, but
this is the issue with like the deck playing the One Ring is you need the life gain, and I mean he got the life gain off the Flage, right? And he's going to draw some more cards, but if these are all blanks, which is a land, and a Johnny, and a Raptor, I think. No, that's a bombardment. Um, the problem here is now that you're under this Blood Moon, you can't like easily double triple spell. And like your deck is a bunch of 2-for-1s. A Johnny gives you 2 bodies, Ocelot probably gives you more bodies, Raptor gives you extra spells. Like all of your things double up, and then you have like some of the best removal in the format right now for like cheap removal with Lightning Bolt, Galvanic Discharge, and Static Prison. The deck's churning through cards, you're playing a bunch of stuff. I do think the inclusion of the One Ring's smart for them to, like get back some of their resources that they spent. But this is definitely an interesting line. Darren's taken bombardment into a Johnny. He can flip it and then do some stuff with it.
And I think unfortunately because we all forgot about all this is the fact that I'm pretty sure Darian, if I remember correctly, he uses this to then
Kill the Kavu.
kill the Kavu.
Okay. So the likelihood is that Darian should be at what, 4 right now?
He would have taken an extra. So he took 4. He would have taken an extra 3. So he'd be at 6.
Well, it's a 1/1 currently with 2 counters on it. So he took 3. But if he has all 5 lands, it's 4 more power as opposed to just being a 1/1. It would be a 5/5 with 2 counters. So instead of taking 3, he would have taken 7, which
Yeah,
is a
I had
difference.
to do
So
the math on the
so
previous turn. Yeah, he would have been
so
at
his
he would have been
likelihood,
at
so he should
5.
he should be at 5. So
Yeah.
see if that comes into any kind of context at this point. So he's at 6 now. From the attack with the Ocelot Pride. He's at 6, theoretically.
Oh, maybe I was wrong.
Maybe Darian knows what the power and toughness is, and we don't. But that's also fine.
No, to be knowing Darian, he would have pointed out that he was taking more damage.
That's true.
I think what he does here is actually even more egregious. Is I actually no, now I really don't remember as much, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just let the game progress as it is. I believe there's a series passing at this point.
I do want to say that he should have another Cat Warrior token in play because it triggered twice, and he adds another
He did
token.
realize that.
Okay,
I believe we spoke about this after.
let's see what happens here. If I'm Tom, I'm trying to draw and discard here to get to lethal. Unless I'm just trying to kill a Johnny, which I mean is probably a good line, right? Because you need either a removal spell for Pride. Oh, they think it's a 4/4. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you were right. He should have been 3 life down.
Yes, okay, yeah. I couldn't remember why I came up with 4, and it was because they were thinking it was just plains and mountain.
Yeah,
Magic is a complicated game, folks.
it is. People miss stuff. I'm not blaming anybody here. It is
No,
very
for
complicated.
sure. I mean, I'm sad because I pride myself on knowing these interactions because these are usually where you can find yourself
So
gaining
so
percentage
the
points.
problem here is that there's a likelihood that the Ajani could have should have been dead, right? If he attacked the Ajani, I don't remember. I don't recall. So he would have been at 7. He would have gone to 4 here.
Well, I think that
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah,
game
yeah.
just changes because if we had known that or remember that it was
Sure.
correctly a 7/7, it
This
would
is
have.
this is funny because there's a very good likelihood that Tom dies this turn. What? No, you make a cat and you attack with one, and then you make more cats, and then you just throw everything at his face.
I don't think that would have been enough though.
No, but you get double triggers.
Oh, yeah, good point, man. Yeah. Well, I mean that one's more of a.
The Ocelot Pride's double the amount of tokens, and then the next one doubles the amount of tokens again. Like he could have put 20 creatures into play right there, I think. I don't know the exact math. He would have put a warrior into play. Tom would have took 3. He would have took 4 from the attack. Now we get to see Darian make. So you
Yeah,
put
because it
one
would have
in,
been.
you get
No,
2.
you're right. You're right. You would have
Then you
had.
put one in, and you get 3. So you get 6 cats. Now, that's not how math works. These are factorial things, guys. So the first pride puts a cat in, and then doubles the amount of cats put in, right? So that's 2. And the next one makes a cat. You have 3 cats, and then you make 3 more.
Yeah, math is tough. Math
It
is
is.
tough. Great card there, Wizards.
Yeah. We eventually got there. But I mean, like, you have 7 pings right here. Add in the other cats. You 100% should have, Darian. Pay attention to your
Yep.
cards. Reading the cards explains the cards.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think in reality, if we know that this is a 7-7, or remember that this is correctly a 7-7, this
Yeah,
game's over.
sure. I think there were a few mistakes there, but that's fine. And again, like we said, Magic's hard. That's fine. We're gonna chalk this one up to whatever it is. I will be having a long talk with Darian after this. Um, and then we're gonna check out a little bit of
Oh,
sideboarding.
I am DMing him right now that he is a filthy cheater. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
no. Unfortunately, we don't have the sideboards up on the screen this time, but I will go over Darian's Boros sideboard guide. He's got one Blood Moon, two Celestial Purge, two Chain to the Rocks, two Containment Priests, one Giganta the Wellspring as his companion, obviously, three Soul Guide Lantern, two Sun Cleanser, two Void Mirror. So for this matchup, I could see him bringing in the two Chain to the Rocks, the extra Blood Moon, and the Celestial Purges, so 5 cards. And then looking for 5 cards that I would want to take out. I think I would take out the Bombardment as two of the cards. And then maybe trim down on like the discharges and just have like things that can go to the face. And then like my other removal gets taken care of as just like 1 mana removal and it's not a big deal. Or maybe trim on the static prison. No, because the static prison can
Yeah,
hit the enchantment. Yeah.
it's still removal for everything, and I think you're just keeping in. I agree with the galvanic discharges. I think you're just taking those out because in
Yeah.
some number, just because there's a very good likelihood that you're just not going to want to spend all that energy to kill stuff when you could just bring in the cards that do it without needing any energy.
Yeah, that's fair. So I actually would probably take out all 4 discharge and 1 bombardment to bring in the Blood Moon, 2 purges, and 2 chain to the rocks. I think that's fine. Um, on Tom's side, looking at his zoo sideboard, he's got one Anger of the Gods, 2 Brotherhood's End, a Celestial Purge, 3 Dampening Sphere, 3 Leyline of Punishment, a Stubborn Denial, a Sun Cleanser, 2 Hearse, unlicensed Hearse, and 1 Wear Tear. I would probably go with the 3 board wipe spells and the Purge and the Sun Cleanser. So that's 5 cards, and then I would cut
Wear
the.
tear as well.
Okay,
You got to
wear
bring in
tear,
wear
wear
tear.
tear six, wear tear six,
Yeah,
and then I would cut 3 Stubborn Denial and 3 Ragavan.
yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, you could make the argument for if you wanted to try to keep some stubborn denials in. It's like just for the non-creature stuff that maybe is coming in against you. You could take out the brawlers, but you know that's
That's fair, I guess. Yeah, we're bringing in 6 cards. I mean, I don't want to cut too many creatures out of my deck. Maybe cut down on like the Tribal Flames because I know he's bringing in. Yeah, I mean, if we know he's bringing in Blood Moon, we can cut down on the Tribal Flames, like those 4, and then or 3 Tribal Flames and 3 Ragavan to lead the stubbies, and then we bring in the Anger, 2 Brotherhoods, 1 Purge, Wear Tear, and Sun Cleanser for 6 cards. I don't think that's that bad. Yeah. And then his basics are mountain and plains, and he's got 4 Mesa, 4 Wooded Foothills, and 4 Flooded Strand. Not bad. But yeah, I think post sideboard, even still, energy is going to be favored. Um, it's interesting. Like we had said earlier, like these decks are definitely very easy to pick up, like low floor, high ceiling kind of a thing.
yeah. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning. It's pretty easy to understand the curves of the deck. I have a 1 drop. I have this amp raptor. It's a 2 drop. To your 3 drops, and then you get to the more advanced section, like when you have a bunch of ocelot prods triggering each other and keeping track of that. So
Knowing when you want to trade cards off, I think is important. Knowing when it's probably smart to like maybe attack into something to get like Like you have two Ocelot Prides, you attack with one of them, even though you know it's going to die because you're going to get the lifelink trigger and gain some life, and then make your board up a little bit. Uh, Darian's looking at two bolts. Is it two bolts, two raptors, chain of the rock, two lands? No. Is his hand just stacked? His hand is just stacked.
It's definitely two balls.
It's
A
definitely two bolts, two
raptor.
raptors,
Oh,
I
it's
think.
a guy to souls. It's a guy to souls in front of that raptor. So he has curve plus removal plus lands.
Yeah.
Oh no, 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 no.
That white card is Chain of
Yeah.
the Rocks.
No, definitely change up the rocks. I played enough Pioneer and Theros Standard to remember that card.
Good card. Awesome removal card. I love that card. Tells a good story. Very Promethean inspiration.
Yeah, I don't speak Latin, so I can't help you there. But with that being said,
Prometheus was the guy who gave humans fire, and then the
I
gods
understand
chained him to the rocks, and then
yes.
okay.
Don't you dare! I'm completely
Actually,
yeah. Well, I'm anyway. So I will say that I do think that the Boros energy deck is just your current litmus test. And I know I had said on off recording off the record that I'm not a fan of the current amount of pillars in modern. I do feel like we had a lot more variation going on pre Nadu. So for everyone that was about to comment saying I'm a
pre
fool,
MH3, you think there were more decks to play, or you think like
I think that more
the
decks
delta
had
was closer?
yeah, like not like you could play a maybe not as well represented deck and still have good shots at producing some strong results, which can happen in Magic anyway. Listen, that it has
Yeah,
variance. This isn't chess for a reason. However, I do feel that the energy deck, especially the Boros energy deck, just cuts off a lot of the tools that are out there for these decks to fight it. I mean, even now, Sun Cleanser doesn't do anything. Sure, everyone's like, yeah, you have Sun Cleanser, Vic. That when you said before, there's no interaction.
Sun Cleanser sometimes does just enough too.
It can, however, the deck has shifted to now putting in cards that just remove it without needing energy, and then you're like, okay, cool. This doesn't do what I need to do anymore. So I just think that there's just not enough tools that give more decks a fair shake at beating this behemoth of a deck.
I think that's fair. I also don't think like there's enough people just like straight up playing Supreme Verdict right now. We had Tom in this game mold to 5 here, so this should be interesting. But yeah, I don't think there's enough Supreme Verdicts going around. I think Temporary Lockdown's a card nobody's really trying that like really puts the boots to this deck. And I mean they have answers for it too, but you answer their answer and then we're back in business again, baby. So
Yeah, I think it's hard that just because overall, if you look at Jeskai Control, Wrath of the Skies is just more often than not just a really good board wipe in a lot of situations. Now, you know, they've always played at least one to kind of hedge their bets going, forward um after the first couple of weeks of MH3, realizing, hey, you need to have something in here to deal with this card because hey, it
mhm.
turns out that while it's also a good, it's a good card to beat the energy aggro decks. It kind of beats up on the energy control deck too if you don't have a way to deal with it. So
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just think that in general, moving forward, deck building is going to change. I think everybody took the Just Guy decks that were popular while Nadu was around, and they're still kind of playing them. And I think they're forgetting that like those decks were built with Just Guy in mind, like with Nadu in mind, and like how to beat that deck. Like if you look at Javier's list from the Pro Tour, if you look at a couple like the decks that are like trying to see like play, it was like a lot of free spells to deal with some of the degenerate stuff that was going on, and then like the ring. And I don't think that's the right way to build Jeskai right now. I think we're going to have to start from the ground up, and it might start with maybe less maybe less energy in general, because then you don't get hit by Sun Cleanser. Then your deck's kind of a little bit more streamlined. And I think if you streamline a good Jeskai deck, or even just a good control deck in general, you're probably going to have a better time against some of these aggressive strategies.
yeah, I mean, if you take a look at some of the Jeskai control decks that are doing decently online, I believe in the last challenge that was posted yesterday, The deck has, they're adding a lot of interesting things. Like cameos are in the deck
Hmm.
now. They're starting to move away from subtlety because it turns out that like there's not like an instant need to let something be not in play.
And
So
guard disadvantage is bad.
yeah, it turns out you really just don't want to be down on cards. I've seen some lists running Eagles of the North now with like an extra plane influence, so
Yes,
that way you have the better fight against
Bloodman.
the
Yeah.
moon effects. So it'll be interesting to see where the Brewers kind of take the control decks because
Ooh, that was an interesting line. If you were in Tom's shoes, would you have led with the Scion or the Kavu there?
I think the I think it's kind of not a moot point, but it just seems like it's a tough decision anyway. You start on a mold of five. You
I couldn't tell if he drew it, but I think the proper line is if your opponent deals with your like Scion, you'd rather have the follow up be the bigger creature.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was watching, I think I stand by the idea that I would have played the Scion first as well, just because it's like, well, if you don't deal with it, cool, and if you do, well, fine. I have this card that I think Tom was trying to just keep the Cabo around so he could, rummage to, have a little bit better card selection going on and things
Yeah.
like that. And
His
listen, it's a
add
matchup
his
friendly.
deck velocity and possibly fix some issues he's got going on. Ironically, Darian had two bolts, could have taken out the Kavu and just decided to two for one with the Raptor. I do like
Yeah,
that.
I like that more. I like developing the board. You're not in a total rush to just kill this thing. You don't have a
And
mage in the yard.
on top of that, if he just wants to use one of those bolts, he could block with the Raptor. Or he could
Yep.
just double block. I don't know if he would double block though. But
I could see double blocking just to get the free life if you wanted to just like get, it's a free fetch at that point.
yeah. So Tom has the trump card of a lightning bolt himself. Come on, Tomas. Bring it in. Darian busting out his Leonardo DiCaprio, stacking his cards together like he's ready to block.
Wouldn't that be LSV? I don't believe Leonardo ever picked up his cards and pretended to block.
It's an acting strategy. Like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do yada yada.
Yeah, but I don't remember Leonardo DiCaprio doing that.
No, but it's a form of acting and bluffing. Is what like, oh, I'm gonna stack my cards up, I'm ready to block, I might have a trick. And I mean,
And
a
it,
second ago, it seemed like Tom was ready to attack with that Kavu and then made a decision to go to a second main phase. Whether he did or didn't, there's some amount of posturing that happens at the table. There's definitely some amount of like
oh, for
psychotic
sure.
warfare, psychic warfare that can go down. I,
Psychological, I think is the
that's the word.
actual correct. Yeah, to you use you're
I
close.
prefer
You're getting
psychotic
closer.
because I'm a sociopath.
That's good, dear.
Yeah.
Shout out to sociopaths, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think Tom, and again, spotting the match, you get to kind of see the body language a little bit more because the cards are the cards, right?
Yeah.
I'm not playing, so I'm kind of picking up on other things, and I think Tom just sitting in the tank realized that there was way more things that could go wrong than can go right, and that's why he kind of kept it back. And at this point, he's so
Hey man, I think
low
that's
on
fair.
cards that you just have to make that choice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm here for it because like obviously you don't want to get blown out, right? He makes the double block. I mean, he had the trump card of him himself having a lightning bolt, but I guess there was already one energy in the pool, right? So it could have been a discharge, and that like even the Ocelot Pride would have still taken down the Kavu.
Yeah, which I mean, I know the decks are switching between either seven or eight of the the one mana bolt esque spells. So
Yep.
you kind of have to think about the odds a little bit and just see what's possible.
So
And
this is an interesting situation here. So I like the attack, obviously because somebody's got to do something. But if you're in either one of these shoes, I'm going to ask you a classical question. Who's the beatdown here?
Oh, I mean, Darian's definitely the beat down here for sure. He has the bigger board.
110%.
That that is an easier one to point out. I mean, this Kavu is almost like a
It's a wall at this point.
yeah, and you got to do everything you can to keep it around.
No, I agree. Although with not having the Raptor back, ooh, nice peel. And we are one land away of being able to bring him back. I like this. I like this a lot. I would probably rummage here if I don't have the land I need.
I can't remember what the card is in hand. It's a tough call sometimes, especially.
It looks like a piece of cardboard, not a land. So I mean that sounds weird to everybody, but it looks like it might be a relevant card as opposed to just like a basic land or junk. Oh, it was a land. Look at that. I've been wrong and I'll be wrong again.
Hey, listen, it happens to the best of us. Ooh, sick top deck.
I mean, that's just how he drew the deck up, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, sometimes you got to have it. It
Ironically,
just
ironically,
it's brutal.
ironically, he played the Ajani last turn instead of the Raptor that he has in his hand, and he got rewarded for it. Because if he
Yes.
played the Raptor, he would have lost that ring. Rummage. People might think that's weird, but that's to actually get the exact number of cards he needs in the graveyard for Flage.
And it worked out that it was a mountain in this particular case.
Yep. I like this while he's tapped out. I would take down the Raptor, the first striker. And now you have the bigger board. You're the control deck with the removal spells and the wrath spells. And now your opponent's life total is ticking down because they want to draw cards. I don't mind being in Tom's position here.
Yeah, the only downside is that while the against Jeskai control, right? You think about it. When they untap with the ring, there's only so many spells that they can have and use, right? Like, I mean, the Wrath of the Skies is pretty brutal if that was to be the situation here. The problem is that the Boros decks, I don't think Darian's hand is representative of it, but the Boros decks should just start redeploy a whole other
I
engine
mean,
again.
he has two for ones in his hand. He can play an Ajani, he can play a Raptor, and then if he wants to, he can still play the Bolt that's there. I mean, I honestly
So,
think Darian should snap off that fetch for plans in case he draws a Blood Moon in the next turn and a half. But yeah, if he wants to, he can just dump his entire hand right now, with the exception of the Flage and the land. I think he needs blockers. Right now, I
yeah,
think he's making the decision of Lightning Bolt Flage, which leaves him with like one blocker, which is not necessarily a play I like.
yeah, yeah, I think at face value, it's not the greatest play just because
Yeah, well,
the
you're
Kavu is
doing
going to get
for one of yourself. Yeah, the Kavu gets to eat the Flage now, which is what you were trying to set up for.
though on the other hand, well, unfortunate if Tom, sees a removal spell here for this Cat Warrior, to get in that free damage, but he ends up taking it anyway. So actually,
Does he have a follow up? Ooh. So if he draws a card, he can rummage one. That's three cards in graveyard. Rummage again. That's four cards in graveyard.
so
That
I'll just
that
tell you
counts
this
five
just
cards.
because it's a good talking point. So Tom does come down to that decision to be made, and he forgot that and he didn't ask me because if he had asked me, I would have explained how the interaction worked. But he just assumed that that's how his idea of how this would go was that he would rummage, see the card, and then have to rummage again, and forgetting that you could respond if it's like an instant speed thing. So
Sure.
that does end up coming up, and it's going to be relevant, and we'll get to that point. But I'd
Yeah.
rather talk about it while there was a little bit of downtime there. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
I mean,
like
this
that.
is this is this is just Darian fetching, which I definitely think he should have done for the basic, because look what he draws. It's like
Yeah,
we drew up the deck to play Blood Moon. I would like to see him play the Marsh Flats and possibly. I'm not sure how many planes are in his deck. I think it's. I've seen List run three. I would try and find the third here before he slams
he
his
did
board.
on the third planes.
Yeah.
So,
So, Jinx.
oops. Um,
Oops. Let's take 10 minutes to tap our lands instead of figure that out first.
there you go. Well, he listened to you.
He can explain all of this and still play his spell because you announce spells and pay costs. But yes, he would have to fetch first.
Yes, I mean, not the end of the world.
Agreed.
I mean, unfortunately, Magic does have a lot of
But
slow.
what I will say, and I hope Darian hears this, is he wasted 30 seconds of the clock making that play.
Yeah, which is something that I think that, you and I have talked about that certain times we've seen players just kind of really waste a lot of time
Yeah,
doing things. Um,
recounting the we already tapped and doing all. Just stack them in a pile. Fuck it. Count your cards at the end of your turn. Discard later.
yeah, so here I think he does 101.
I don't think that that's that bad, especially when there's a possibility where Darian's at 6 lands, so he's almost at the possibility of like play Flage, replay Flage, which you really can't respond to
Yeah, no, you can't, unfortunately. Um,
because you have priority at that point and you're casting a spell and the spell gets put right on the stack. I think that's
the,
fine.
the more I also think about it, I think it's probably not a bad call to do it that way because if you want to double rummage. The problem is that you have more sorcery speed things going on than you're going to have instant speed. So you have to hope to see a ley line binding, which you haven't seen any yet. So there's a possibility for that, and a bolt.
Yeah. And I mean, Darian went from having like a solid board presence to now he's just sitting on next to nothing. Is it Johnny doesn't do damage until he plays a red permanent, so he has to be careful of when he's going to do that. He should also be wary of how he's tapping his mana here if he's going to try and play his Bloodman. Oh, I almost didn't know what that card was.
Yeah, that's that cool. I don't think is it a special guest?
I think it's the full art. It's just a full art SLR product.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what has special guest and what doesn't.
So now we got an Amptraptor. We got a Guide of Souls.
See, I remember that he had to pay for that.
Yeah, there. I mean, I've missed that on myself a few times, but I honestly haven't played with the cards that much. Got a bombardment here would definitely kind of seal this up pretty good. Although, to be honest, I think Blood Moon shuts more stuff off for Tom in the long run.
Yeah, because I mean, what those Kavus now become
Two twos.
tutus.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and I mean, Darian has City's blessing here, so
Yes,
I think this time he might remember, but we'll see.
he's going to get two more cat warriors. Yep. So that means he's got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 creatures in play. He also should have gained life and gained energy from all of that happening, and none of that happened. I'm not
Yeah,
blaming you.
unfortunately,
The things that the player needs to remember.
yeah. Well, here's the thing: since it's a detrimental trigger,
Oh no,
and
yeah. Tom could
there's
just
no
be
acknowledgement, I
Tom can just be like, I'm not gonna put that on the stack.
yeah. I think the problem is too is like we go so far past before Darian remembers it that I'm like,
Yeah,
what would a judge do? And I don't think a judge would have, or even if we deferred it to
yeah.
Tom,
Tom wouldn't
which
put the triggers on the stack. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's fair.
and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of that either. I think that that's just not the point of a judge. Like the whole point of a judge is that like the judge makes the call because
Yeah.
so I kind of just made the call of it just like I asked Tom, but uh, you know
If you go a full person's turn through and then you're like, oh, I forgot something, then you forgot it.
yeah, I'll,
If
I'll
if
try to
it's
remember when he acknowledges it.
if it was Tom's upkeep and then we were having that argument, I think that's a different story. That's too late. Yeah, because I mean, like we were just at combat, right?
Yeah, and I'm sorry
Yeah,
for people at home. It's a beneficial trigger, not a detrimental trigger. I've
yeah,
had the lingo turned around, but yeah,
yeah. Gaining life is a beneficial trigger. Paying for a packed trigger is detrimental. That has to go on the stack. Drawing cards from your deck has to go on the stack because you can lose the game that way. You can't lose the game by gaining life. I don't think.
there's a few black enchantments out there. The EDH players might have a bone to pick with you.
Yeah. One, two, three, four, five, 13. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean it didn't matter in the long run, but
I mean, I think Tom's just dead again. Like I think there is just enough on Darian's side that it doesn't matter.
yeah, well, I think that I mean, well, unfortunately, one of the hard or one of the downsides to Domain Zoo is that there's card selection. There's no card advantage. So when you're already at a mold of 5 and against a deck that is on the almost the same attacking axis but has the ability to have straight card advantage,
Yeah.
you're gonna find yourself in a hole pretty quickly. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I know you have been kind enough to post the meta results. I think that kind of is indicative of the matchup, especially with this variation when they're
This
playing
makes
the
me
one
want to
ring.
throw up. But yeah, that's a line. Honestly, if I'm in Tom's seat, I'm just scooping up my cards. This is nothing against Tom as a player. Tom's a great zoo player. He's been one of our mainstay guys playing zoo for a while at the shop. Definitely very clean, very uh what's the word that I'm looking for? Precise player when he's playing these type of decks.
No, for sure. He is great at squeezing out value out of every card that he's got available to him.
Yep.
I
What would
think
you target
honestly,
here?
the one ring, but it doesn't
I
really
would
matter.
I'd actually hit the bombardment. Or the Ajani, I think is smart because the Ajani is gonna get him like the game life trigger and whatnot, but we'll see.
I mean, well, in reality, I would have just been conceding myself anyway because I don't think
Yeah.
any of it matters. But
Ooh,
um,
ooh, are we gonna see the hidden realm, the hidden ability on Sokensen? Just get in with all the dudes?
oh, make 4 guys too at the end of it all. That would have been funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think drawing two is better because you can hit an Amp Raptor or another Ajani. That's one card. And another Bloodman.
Always bring two.
Two spears. Yeah, I think we're closing this game out. I think he just channels Sekenzin, makes the dudes, makes the copies of everything. He'd have four spirits, two cat warrior tokens, two cat tokens. That's 10 right there.
Actually, yeah, I think gets his trigger.
Yeah,
Not that it matter, but
it's all good.
unfortunate.
We're gonna teach Darian how to play this deck by the end of the week. Don't worry, guys.
Well, he's got 48 hours as of this recording to figure it out before an RCQ. So,
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be okay. But we always thank you guys for showing up, hanging out, and watching us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Sign up for the OCHO if you're in the area. That's me, Sparky, for this time. Say goodbye, Victor.
goodbye, Victor.